I had a tough moment because in the practice round, I played so well. I
Mm,
felt I was so prepared. Like I was like, there's nothing that can stop me. We could win this. And my coach told me. And I think I let a lot of that pressure get to me because come tournament day, I went par, 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 and then it was like 10 doubles in a row. It was just
wow.
I got so lost in the game. And I think that we all have these moments in golf where all of a sudden it's like we've never played the game before.
Hope that you guys enjoyed this longer format video as much as I enjoyed recording it. It's about 30 minutes. So grab your headphones, put it on during your commute. Just sit back and listen and enjoy the wonderful storytelling of the mental game guru, Kerry Lawson, as he talks about his life in golf. We really enjoy bringing this type of content to the channel. So continue to support. The number one way that you can do that for us is clicking the subscribe button. Catch you on the other side. Welcome and welcome back to Par for the Course. I have the mental game guru with me, a special guest. Just blessed to have this man on the channel. Reached out to him and he was able to give me some of his time. So we're just going to jump straight into it. So welcome, my man.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So just tell the audience a little bit how you grew up and a little bit of background about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm from a small town in southern New Jersey, all the way as far south as you can go, Cape May, New Jersey. If you didn't know, it's one of the top destination beaches in the country, may even be the world, Cape May beaches. So if you
Oh,
get the opportunity to hit the East Coast, come on down to New Jersey. We'd love to have you down there. But I grew up down there, small area, everybody knew each other. I was the only black golfer in my area. I guess that's kind of a fun fact as far as youth golf goes. So
yeah.
I kind of got into golf around the age of 12, 13, and I fell in love with it. I think my dad saw I had incredible potential at the game.
Sweet.
I struggled greatly with anything too physical, football, basketball, um, because of a couple physical ailments, asthma,
Okay.
whole nine gamut. So finally having a sport that I could actually participate in wholeheartedly. I apologize, my dog's running around the
No,
background.
it's real life. This is a real life.
It's real life, man.
Yes.
Real life. But yeah, I found golf at a young age, and it was the opportunity for me to do something physical, active, to push myself a little bit. So my dad pushed me into golf full steady before high school, and then I kind of took off from there, just in love with the game.
Sweet. So did your dad play at all? Or was
He
it just something
did,
happenstance?
you know. So my uncle got me into the game first. He was the first person to put a club in my hand. I remember I was 12 and I used to go to my uncle's house every couple of weekends because my parents worked really, really late. So over the weekends, I would go stay with my uncle and my aunt. And he took me to a driving range one day because he was getting into golf. I started off playing baseball and basketball.
Okay.
Those were my two big sports up until 12, 13. Um, and then my uncle took me to the driving range. He's like, "You've played baseball, keep your eye on the ball, work on making contact." He was like, "I'm really here for me. I got a tournament coming up, getting ready. You just, here's some balls, do your thing, you'll figure it out."
Yeah.
Well, I took it seriously. I was like, "All right, well, let's see what this is about." I watched him hit a couple. I turned around and watched other people hit balls. And the first one whiff, second one whiff, third one, I finally made contact, and it must have went just about 10 yards. I topped the ball,
Yeah.
but I was like, okay, all right, we're getting somewhere. Like, let's
Right.
figure this out. And about 10 balls in, I stripe one. And me being a 12-year-old striping the ball at that point with three wood is like what
You were hooked.
125,
Y-
140 yards.
Yeah.
But I was hooked. And once I did it, I did it again. Then I was like, okay, this if I turn this way and I swing this way, did it again. And when I say hitting the ball good, it was slicing or hooking
It was relative to what you do at
relative
the time.
to what I was able to do as a 12-year-old with a club in my hand for the first time. And I remember my uncle turning around, looking at me like, "Is that you?" And then his
Right.
a guy a couple stalls down came down. He goes, "Man, that kid's got a sweet swing on him. Like he's got some. Does he play often? It's a potential." And my uncle looked at me. He's no, it's the first time he's ever picked up a club.
Right.
And I remember when my uncle brought me back to my dad, he pulled my dad aside for a conversation, which I assumed looked like a, hey, he might be pretty good at golf. You might
You
want
might
to
have
get
something
him,
here. Yeah.
yeah, you might want to get him some clubs and get him started. See where this might go. And lie to you not, the next day, my dad took me to Kmart at the time, dating myself here,
Wow.
and he got me $100 golf set from Kmart, and that was it. I was in the yard, tearing up the front yard, tearing up the backyard, a couple broken windows,
Just anything to get some swings in, huh?
anything to get swings in. I just was so addicted to the game, and when I got to high school was really when it kicked in, because for my team, I live right down the street. I could walk to the golf course,
Wow.
and the coach was like, "Here's our home course," and I was like, "Coach, I live right down the street." And my first practice as a high school student, my freshman year, and I was on a pretty good team. The kids that were with me, there were a couple, a buddy of mine, his name is Alexander Hicks. He played D1, and he's now he's done Canada tour, he's done Puerto Rico tour. He was actually legitimately,
Just
he's
had
still
it. Yeah.
trying to like reach the tour, and he had it. So I was coming onto a team with really good people. My first practice, 9 holes, 65. Okay. I remember very distinctly each hole. But then the coach pulled me to the side of the practice and he says, "You have full access to this course anytime you want. I've
Yeah.
already talked to the office. As long as you focus and you have good grades, you can come here anytime you want."
Wow.
And I did every day
Kind of like open
for,
gym, right? When you hear about
yeah,
in other sports, or and kids can go get shots
exactly.
up at midnight. You just had a course,
And
which is unique.
it had, I didn't have to only go and play, but we had a short game area. It was like a really nice practice area. So really all I needed to do, and what I did for about 2 years straight, every day, if it rained, I was there. I went to the course when it snowed and shoveled off, a little patch in the fairway about 50 yards, and I'd go and I'd shovel off spots on the green during the winter season because I was that hooked, and
Wow.
I wanted to play like the kids at the top of my team, because there was something about golf at that age to me that was so beautiful and so attainable.
Yeah.
For once, I had access to something that, my physical element wasn't going to hold me back from doing. All of my friends were really good basketball players or really good football players. And I was just, the buddy that was tagging along. I was just kind of there in the background. I couldn't play for long.
Yeah.
And I think another element to it was I wasn't necessarily great at team sports. As much as I wanted to be, I think it was a lot of internal pressure in myself that I felt like I had to keep up, or I had to be the savior of the team, or I had to be just as good as everyone else, when I really didn't. But finally, I had something that just relied on me to
Wow.
just go out there and have fun and figure it out, and just enjoy the atmosphere of it.
So you found that competitive, I guess, outlet through golf versus
Yeah,
your traditional stick and ball sports, which is
exactly,
that's
exactly.
awesome. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I've always said that people up in the kind of the northeast, and where winter is a real thing, have a better appreciation for golf. How does that work for you? Like, in the off season, when y'all are getting snow or some colder weather.
It's a lot easier nowadays. Technology has blessed the golf industry. It has been over the years. It's finally caught up where it's affordable to do some indoor golfing. So you see like TrackMan facilities
Yeah.
popping up, GC Hawk facilities popping up. A lot of the ranges up here now have acclimated over the years to be heated ranges. So most of them are open about 9 months out of the year,
Okay.
give or take heavy snow and weather. So they'll adjust as needed.
Okay.
So we've gotten pretty good, but you're so right, because it's best to have course availability. Obviously, you want to get out there and hit on the course or hit on grass. So I'm one of those who doesn't quite enjoy hitting off of the mat, but if I have
Mhm.
to, I'll suck it up for a while.
Okay. So let's jump back into it. So you got competitive with golf and jumped onto the high school team. Where'd you go
Mhm.
from there?
Well, from there, it took me a little bit to kind of find my groove. I had a couple of teammates that I had looked up to and kind of partnered with, and when you're on a high school golf team, it's kind of like the numbers. You have your number one, number two, number three,
Yeah.
number four, and everybody else is kind of, your secondaries or JV. And heading into, tournaments or matches, you practice and play into, who might be available, who's gonna start and play. It took me until about my end of my junior year, senior year to hit that number 4 spot.
Okay.
And again, they were all really good. And what that looked like was having an average or going out on 9 holes and shooting a 40, on that practice round.
Okay.
So just a few bogeys on the scorecard. And then compared to what I was doing at my 41 average as a senior in high school, again, my number one was 32, 33, 9-hole average.
Wow.
But they pushed me and they welcomed me. As I got better, they kind of started to acclimate me. But the first few years, I admit, were really tough because I was the black kid with the K-Mart set, trying to make it big.
Maintain that same set all this time.
I very distinctly remember the number 2 on my team grabbing a club and being like, what is this brand? Like, what even is this? And I just shook my head. I was like, I don't know. I don't know anything about equipment. I just got clubs. Let's play.
They hit the ball. Yeah, exactly.
Hit the ball. But lucky enough, my dad did eventually get me fitted headed into my senior year, which I attribute to also helping me get better. Was that I finally had proper equipment to do so. After my senior year, I definitely didn't think I was going to be good enough to play college golf or do that. I think my dad wanted me to go out and, see where I could take it. But I wasn't like, again, the number 1s, number 2s that were planning on going the tour, who had scholarships waiting or had offers, who had a plan. This was kind of new to me.
Yeah.
In the 4-year span. So I just found a good school. I kept it in the back of my head, find a D3 school that's kind of small that may have a golf team. I was looking up the team scores to see, like, all right, relatively, where would I fit in? Is this a possibility? Because when you look at D1 and like, all right, their averages are 72, 73 and an 18-hole score. I can't do that.
Because you were looking at that separation between you and the number 1s and 2s on the team. Yeah.
I was trying to be realistic in my expectation of the possibility of playing golf in the college level. So I chose a small school in New Jersey that just so happened to have a golf team that just so happened to be around the averages of where I was at that point in time. So I said this would be possible if I do get the opportunity. So I then ended up at Centenary University up in northern New Jersey. I showed up there my freshman year. I remember going to see the coach that fall season and basically talking to him, like, hey, you guys have a golf team. What do I got to do to try out? Like, what's the protocol here? And he was just like, show up here next week on Wednesday. It's our first practice. Here's a bag. Here's a shirt. You got clubs, right?
It's really informal.
It was really informal. And that's not to say every D3 program is that way, but golf was so small at my D3 school that was already small, 1,200 students.
Yeah.
So much so, like, even by the time I graduated college, people were like, we had a golf team? I'm like, man, you didn't see me walking across campus with my bag like every other day. Like I shook your hand. What do you mean?
Yeah. So needless to say, you weren't like big man on campus at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, as far as sports go, I was heavily involved throughout campus.
Okay.
Golf was just kind of like my side thing. I felt like it was the one thing that I had that separated me from everybody else.
Yeah. Did it keep you focused on college?
It kept me so focused. It's keeping me more focused now. I think I took a lot of it for granted at that point in time, because I was really just excited to get out on the course. And I believe there was a moment in me earlier on that was not focused on school and so much more focused on my golf game, which I think is not the point of, or wasn't the point of D3 sports. I think the biggest decider and what was different about divisions is it's like D1, they're trying to do something professional, right? They're the A1 of the A1, they have an opportunity to do this at a professional level. D2 is like, all right, they have some potential. They could do it professionally overseas, maybe, move to Division 1 depending on their work ethic. And D3 was like really school-based. It was like, you need to focus on your studies first.
Yeah.
Practice and sports will come later on in time. You make time for it, but academics, that's your focus. And that's what my coach kind of pushed on us as well. When I got to college, it was hard. College golf, because I went from like playing 9 holes to playing 18 holes on the side of mountains in
Wow.
northern
Yeah.
New Jersey, eastern PA. And when you're from South Jersey, it's very flat. We're like water level, so windy,
Okay.
flat courses. And then up here where I live now, I live in North Jersey. It's all hills, mountainsides, undulations. It was just so different to me, and I hadn't been exposed to a great deal of different courses. I
Okay.
was
You
so
stayed pretty local.
inexperienced. Yeah, I was so inexperienced as a young golfer. I don't think I was as prepared. So much so that I almost quit at the end of my freshman year because
Yeah.
I was having such a hard time adjusting to college golf, and I was like beating myself up because I was like, I'm better than this. Like I've shot better than this. I've hit better shots than this, and I just couldn't figure it out for a while.
Were
But
you also far from home? What was the distance between home and where you went to school?
3 hours, three
Okay.
hours, give or take. So I was on the cusp. I was like far enough where my parents couldn't just drive up and get me, but also far enough that if I needed something or needed to get home, that
Yeah.
it was not a problem. So it gave me a great deal of comfort. Yeah.
After kind of struggling through your freshman year, what happened from there?
I went to my coach at the end of my freshman year, and I said, "Coach, I can't do it. Like I can't figure it out." And again, it was that internal pressure. It was like, I don't want to be the person to let the team down. And what he said not only frustrated me in the moment, but it was so real because he was being extremely honest. He said, Carrie, where you're playing, you're like number 7 on the team. And that's out of 10. He was being
Wow.
realistic. He was like, you're number 7. Why are you putting this much pressure on yourself to try and be the savior when you're not in the mix just yet? And he wasn't saying it to hurt my feelings, but more so that was his way of saying you can really only go up from here.
Right. Here's some perspective
Like,
on where.
yes, it's
Yeah.
just like the guys at the top, like number 1, 2, 3, and 4, they've all been here for 3 years. They were in the same spot you were in just 3 years ago. Give it time, like figure it out. Like, let's make a game plan. Let's figure out why you're making these mistakes or where your mistakes are. And he basically, revitalized my vision for getting better and for where I was in my golf game. So after my freshman year, I did come back my sophomore year, and we actually had some new players come on. And my one of my good friends to this day, his name is Steve Klumper. He's super, super talented, could likely play D1 golf, but
Hmm.
that wasn't his focus. It's not his thing. And like I'm talking, he's someone to be like, yo, CJ, I'm shooting 65 today. And I say, okay, good luck. I'm trying to shoot 86. All right, I'll
Yeah.
see you out there. And he'll come back in the scorecard on the 18 holes. He'll look at me before he hits the putt and goes, you ready? Watch this. Drains like a 15-footer, walks up,
Wow.
65. He was that kind of guy. He was
Just naturally talented at the
just
game.
naturally talented at the game. I didn't want to call him like a country club kid because you do have those
Yeah.
those personalities. He grew up on a country club, but he worked there and he worked hard at his craft, and for that I'm thankful. But he joined the team my sophomore year, and he was nice. So I was like, I want to play with him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care where I'm at right now in like my level of golf, because usually it's like the 1 and 2 player play together, the 3 and 4, 5 and 6, so on. But I went to my coach and I said, look, I want to play with this kid because like if I have any chance of improving, like I'm gonna have to learn and kind of see what's different. Like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? How can I capitalize off of that? And he did. He let me practice with Steve, and Steve every day would be like, hey, go to the course, get some short game practice in, chip and putt. And it was like every day. And I was so used to like every other day practice, or Monday,
Yeah.
Wednesday, or Wednesday, Friday. But it'd be like 7 o'clock in the morning. And he'd be like, hey, you want to head over to the course before class to get some, some putts in, some short game in. And I'm like, man, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, dude. Like we in college, we just went out last night.
Right.
This is college, man. We gotta like relax, sleep or something. And he said, all right, if you don't want to, that's okay. But he was there every day. He'd text me every morning. And eventually I just caught on to it.
Yeah. You just
You
saw
know,
that
it's
different
like,
level of work
yeah,
ethic that
I
it was
was like,
bringing.
this is a different level. Like I'm expecting, you know, you have the expecting you put your 2 days in a week, you know, you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna be good. If you're good on Wednesday, by Friday tournament, you'll be okay. No, like I had to be there every day. So I started, you know, getting acclimated to that and just kind of being around him and just watching him observe the course and make decisions and be smart about the game and not just hit the ball as far as he could and then try and get it to the, you know, as close as he could to the pin. I was starting to understand more of the internal golf conversation, course conversation that you need to have to fight this battle against the course. So
That's
I learned so much in that in
that's
my sophomore
interesting.
year. Yeah,
So with it being playing college golf, how does that work? Is the coaching hands-on, like from the coach, or do you learn?
it
It seems like you learn a lot more from your teammates at that time.
it depends, you know. And again, I think that also stems down to the level of golf you're participating in. You
Okay.
know, I think of a lot of D1 facilities, and you can kind of pull this up on YouTube too. One of my favorite YouTube people to follow, who you get that background with, is Brian Rose Golf.
Okay.
One of the Bryan brothers. He's always at his old college facility, which is just a wide open range with tees, just what you would imagine like having your dream, you know, driving range
Yep.
scenario is what some of these D1 colleges have. Whereas, you know, D3 is like, all right, where's your local course? And
Right.
that's your home course. So our coach was, I wouldn't call him a babysitter. Like he knew of the game, he could play the game. He was a great putter. He wasn't very good at golf,
Okay.
but you know, he took us to our tournaments. He drove us, him and his buddy. They were funny. He was a great motivator. You
Okay.
know, he was like, you know, find what makes you comfortable in the game, what works for you, and let's push for that. Let's focus on creating a consistent, comfortable place for you out in the tournament where there's not too much pressure. And he left it on us to kind of figure it out. I wouldn't say D3 golf wasn't serious, but it was like a come as you are kind of thing.
Okay.
And we learned a lot off of each other, or at least from our best player.
That makes sense. No, it
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah. Cool. So you learned a lot from that that buddy that joined you in your sophomore year. Was he class below you, or was did
No,
he
he
come?
was he transferred in from a
Okay.
community college out in PA. Same age, same major as well. We actually had a lot of the same classes, so it
Okay.
benefited, you know, us very well. We were also involved in some clubs and organizations outside of golf, so we were in the same friend group from sophomore year all the way to the end, all the way until now. He's still, I would consider him still kind of like my golf coach. I put that in quotes. I've never had an official lesson before,
Yeah.
but you know, he tries his best to give me something to work on. The other day we went and, you know, we're playing indoor golf, and he put a head cover, you know, to the basically in the right in front of my right foot, so that I would stop coming from the inside on my golf
Okay.
swing, which I have a really big tendency to do. And he was like, just hit, try not to hit this cover. And he had basically fixed my hook without telling me anything or telling me to be in any sort of, you know, specific positions. He didn't try and coach me. He just put something on the ground, said, don't hit it. And then, you know, eventually I did, and it cured my hook. It cured my swing path in just
Wow.
that couple of minutes.
So
So
is he still in and around golf or no?
yeah, man, he's never gonna stop playing the game of golf.
Okay.
He plays a lot of tournaments. I think it's like his side hustle to this
Okay.
point. You know, he's that guy. He's like, oh, I got, you know, $10. I'll put it within, you know, 5 feet or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. But he plays a lot of local tournaments. He always tries to do the PA amateur, and he's gotten close a couple of times. But
Okay.
he loves the game, and he doesn't have the ambition to be pro, but he has the ambition to be the best that he could be, or the best at his country club. So
So how'd you finish up your junior and senior year after kind of getting a foothold and kind of getting that perspective from your coach and then
you know,
some training from your bud there?
yeah, I did my best with the amount of golf knowledge that I had and the skills that I had and the skill set. I was very busy on campus. So, and what I mean by that, I did my best is, my best round recorded as a D3 college athlete is an 82. And that's not to say that that's not a bad round at all. It was actually an
No.
exciting round for me. I had a blast doing it. But that's my low. Low in practice was a 79. I did break 80, on a nice day. And Steve was there, him and his buddy. He was like, come out, we're going to play 18 holes today. And he was like, you don't keep score. You just do what I tell you to do. Well, we are 16th green, bogey that 16th hole. He looks at me, he goes, you got a chance. He's like, I'm not going to tell you for, but you have a chance. And I would believe I was sitting at 75 at that point in time. I had a part out. I would have, had a 75 for the day. And I bogey double.
Wow.
Actually, no, it was double to shoot 79.
So you had a pretty good round going before
I had a
then.
pretty good round before that. And he basically, I made that putt. He punched me in the chest and says, here's your 79. Like, you finally broke 80, because I was talking about it for so long. Well, he said if you could just get out of your head, these last two holes, you probably would have shot 75.
Yeah.
Because the way I was playing, he caught on after the first 7 or so holes and was just, all right, hit here. All right, focus on hitting here. Like, just don't pull driver, pull 3-wood. Hit this shot, or just aim here. And he basically was kind of helping me create a roadmap to break 80, and I eventually broke 80.
Literally one shot at a time. Like, you weren't focused on anything else but that one shot.
Exactly. And after we graduated, we ended up losing by 1 stroke in our CSAC championship, which was my senior year. And I had a tough moment because in the practice round, I played so well. I felt I was so prepared. Like, I was like, there's nothing that can stop me. Like, I shot 82 in the practice rounds. Like, if I shoot this, which is my average, or where my average should be, we could win this. And my coach told me. And I think I let a lot of that pressure get to me, because come tournament day, I went par, and then it was like 10 doubles in a row. It was just, I got so lost in the game. And I think that we all have these moments in golf where all of a sudden it's like we've never played the game before.
You feel like a foreign. Yeah, it's like you're an alien in your own body sometimes.
After three holes, and I'm talking like perfect drive, perfect approach, like 2-putt. Like, I was just a par machine. I was like, if I could just do this for the rest of the day, I would be fine. I get to the 4th hole, and I shanked a ball like I've never shanked one before. It almost brought me back to my 12-year-old first shank, like, ever swing. I think that was my initial thought. I was like, wow, I haven't done that since my first ever swing. And it messed me up, like, in my head, because I started to think about way too much, and it just shut me down.
It's amazing what pressure can do in the golf game. Like, it's crazy how that happens. I can relate to your experience of coming down the pike, because my personal best is an 80 at this point, and I've been close. And theoretic, and every time I come down to like between 16 and 18, something happens, because it gets in the back of my mind, and I either get too relaxed or too tense. Either of the two, right? But I lose what had gotten me to that point, and it's amazing.
Yeah, and that's what happened to me, and I was so broken about it. And I think my coach saw that I was broken about it, and I internalized everything. I'm a really quiet guy, so when I shut down, I shut down. Like, I didn't want to speak to anybody. My coach, like, he tried to come to me, and I avoided him. I was like, nah, let me figure it out. And I didn't go out to dinner with the team that night. I was just like, I just want to go to bed, just relax, because we got another day tomorrow. He was like, you got one more day. Like, you have one more opportunity. And I didn't let it go. I didn't let it go at all. So much so that on that first tee, I hooked one of the trees left, and I just picked up my bag and just carried on. And I didn't let myself let anything go that day, which I think was to my detriment. I probably shot 102 on that second round, because I was just I got to the point where I just didn't care anymore. So I would just get him to the ball and swing it. Like I just, all right, just swing it. All right, just
Yeah,
swing it.
you weren't even thinking
Let's
about
get this over
strategy.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I let myself kind of go in that moment.